episode 69 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivets. So this week's episode, we had a lot going on. We had 5 matches, we had a big return, and we had I guess the official heel turn of another superstar as well. So let's get right into it. We got word that Bayley would be back in action this week, and we had highlights of the Finn Balor Nakamura segment that closed the show last week. First match after that was Ty Dillinger against Only Lorcan. This guy, he seems to have some sort of reputation on the indie scene. I'm not too familiar with him. Biff something I've seen on Twitter and elsewhere. I'm not too familiar with the guy. But he looked like a beast in this match. Dillinger, what I noticed is that he didn't get the same reaction as he did last week with the crowd behind him. I don't know if it's because they've already seen him once or twice, or it's just different people. But it just seemed like a very timid reaction for Ty Dillinger. Lorcan took Dillinger down with 2 shoulder blocks, and then he mocked Ty Dillinger's 10 taunt. He then held the ropes as he went for a roll-up, and then connected with a nice running uppercut to a kneeling Dillinger. Ty came back. He was fired up at this point, but the crowd, again, was just very quiet during his comeback, really not popping for any of the moves. Lorcan landed 2 uppercuts in the corner. Dillinger countered the third one with a nice super kick and got back-to-back near falls. As he was hitting some mounted punches in the corner, he became distracted for some reason with the crowd. Lorcan shoved him off, hit a jumping neckbreaker to get the win. Match was alright for what it was. It was more about the story with Ty Dillinger, this character development. That's the only purpose the match served. There's definitely going to be a story behind this Dillinger loss and his reaction. He's lost 3 matches in a row, and this one's because of something he did, not something his opponent did. So it'll be interesting to see. The crowd did pop for the super kick, but really nothing much else. They really didn't. It wasn't a match that got the crowd excited. It was more for, like I said, story-based purposes. I'm just happy that they're actually doing something with Dillinger. As low on the card as he is, he's gotten a big reaction over the last few weeks, few months actually. So it'll be interesting to see where this development goes for his character. Kathy Kelly interviewed Austin Aries about what's next for him, even though he lost to Nakamura. He said his goal is still the same, to be NXT champion. He was going on about how he's the greatest and stuff like that. No Way Jose interrupted, and he said Aries has to be more positive, and something like that. I think kind of tuned out after that. We got a follow-up to this after No Way Jose's match, but I'll get into that a little later. We got a highlight video package, again, for Bayley's injury from last month. Bayley was shown, quote-unquote, earlier today, saying that she was cleared and returns to the ring this episode. No Way Jose versus Josh Woods was the second match of the night. Woods looked like a MMA star. He had like the half shorts, his hair tied back, and was all tatted up. Jose landed a big hip toss. He almost lost Woods along the way. Kind of slipped a little bit. Jose broke out of I think it was like a chin lock or some sort of rest hold. He made his comeback with 2 axe smashes, and then he landed a spinning full Nelson slam to get the win. As No Way Jose was celebrating, Austin Aries' music hit, and he walked down to the ring. The crowd, for some reason, began booing Austin Aries before he's done anything. He got in the ring, and he said that in this industry, you're not defined by your wins, but by your losses. And then the crowd started an Aries sucks chant in the tune of New Day Rocks. He said it takes a real man makes no excuses, and he said that No Way Jose reminded him that NXT is about having fun. He thanked them, they shook hands. As Aries was leaving, No Way Jose grabbed him and started dancing, kind of enticing him a little bit. Jose was doing some sort of heel turn kind of thing, not an actual heel turn, like a foot move kind of thing. And then at some point he just switched and got fully into it, just dancing like a complete white guy. Just very awkwardly. It was very comical, honestly. I was chuckling at Aries trying to dance. He was wearing like jeans and like a tight polo, so he just looked very awkward. They kept going up the ramp around the ringside. They went to the announcer's table again. They stood on the announce table. They were dancing, and then next thing you know, Aries caught him with I think it was like a forearm smash, and then he landed a diving elbow off the table, and then just continued this beat down up the ramp. As he was walking away, he turned back around and locked in last chancery, leaving No Way Jose on the ramp. The match, whatever, I don't really care about it. Again, my opinions on No Way Jose. I'm kind of over his character. I'm kind of over every dancing gimmick NXT is putting out there right now. But the post-match stuff was great. It follows up on the segment that Aries doesn't need to have fun. He's here to be the best. He doesn't care about having a good time as long as he's winning. He showed No Way Jose. He shut him up. He showed him that he's the best in NXT. I didn't know where it was going because when he started dancing, I was waiting for the attack there, but then he fully got into it. They were going on the rings around the ring, so I kind of eased up my suspicions there. But when they got to the announce table, I was like, all right, they're gonna do the long turn on this one and just wait till the last possible moment. I'm not a fan of the possible match that these two are gonna have. It just seems very awkward for Austin Aries to be in this spot, but it's good for No Way Jose. It's a character they're obviously behind, but for what it is right now, it just seems a very, very disjointed between these two. I don't think they're going to mesh well if they're fighting either a takeover. I hope it doesn't last that long. Maybe it'll be a match next week and get this over with, but we'll see where it goes. We got a segment with William Regal sitting down with Nakamura. He said that the segment they had last week tingled his spine. Very interesting analogy to put him through. He then announced that in 3 weeks, Balor and Nakamura would face off. So they're not holding out until TakeOver. They're doing it in 3 weeks. Buddy Murphy interrupted. He said that he's the only one in the room that's held a title in NXT. They went back and forth for a little bit. Nakamura said something I really couldn't understand. Not for his accent. It just seems very low. I couldn't understand what he was saying. And then he walked out. Third match was Deonna Purrazzo against Bayley. Bayley tossed Deonna around a little bit. She then hit a stunner between the ropes and a shoulder tackle in the corner. Deonna ducked a clothesline, and then she took her turn on offense with a running knee and a leg sweep. She was slamming Bayley's head into the corner, but Bayley was hulking up and then finished with the belly to Bayley to get the win. Obvious finish. The match was good. I would give it like a 5 or a 6. Really nothing extravagant that happened. Very formulaic. Bayley getting some offense, the heel taking control, and then the babyface makes the comeback. Really nothing there. But I think it's definitely time for Bayley to move up to the main roster. She's done everything that she could in NXT, winning the championship, having great matches, great feuds. And I think the main roster could definitely use a character like hers in the women's division. Very lighthearted, but still can kick your ass when needed. Compared to the other women on the roster, they're all, what's the word I'm looking for? They're all just very straightforward, no-nonsense kind of women. So Bayley's definitely going to break up that dynamic there, which will be... It'll be a good one once she's done after Brooklyn. Andrea then congratulated Carmella on her win last week and talked about being the NXT Women's Champion. Alexa Bliss interrupted her. She said that without Enzo and Cass, no one knows who she is. And then she brought up the triple threat match from a few weeks ago and saying that she wasn't pinned. Carmella called her out on I forget, like something with Blake and Murphy, and then Alexa walked away. Samoa Joe vignette aired, something about the age of Samoa Joe, about his title reign. And we had a lengthy video package highlighting the Asuka Nia Jax build and their match from TakeOver. Before the next women's match, we got a vignette for the Authors of Pain and announced that American Alpha will be back next week. Fourth match on the show, Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. Talk about a size difference. These two women could not be any more opposite. It was very... very interesting to see how this was going to go. Liv tried fighting, tried getting the best of Nia Jax early. She locked in a headlock, but Nia easily just picked her up and slammed her face first. She then followed it up with multiple elbow drops. Liv tried fighting back, but Nia Jax obviously was just too strong. Liv was able to send Nia into the corner with a sloppy head scissors, but she went to the ropes, and then Nia just bulldozed her over before hitting a powerbomb to get the win. Really nothing surprising here. They're just making Nia Jax look strong after her defeat from TakeOver. I like that Liv Morgan was trying to put up a fight, even though the size difference was there, that she wasn't going to back down from someone like Nia Jax. I kind of like her character. I wish they would give her more ring time. But until Bayley and Asuka get called up in a while, she's kind of just going to be there on the roster for right now. It was announced that Carmella and Alexa Bliss would face off next week. And then it was our main event of Shinsuke Nakamura and Buddy Murphy. Nakamura landed a couple kicks early. Murphy was able to take advantage off a ref break, but it really didn't last long. Nakamura ducked a couple strikes, hit a knee to the gut, and then he hit a falling knee and the good vibration stomps in the corner. Murphy grabbed Nakamura by his pants, pulled him into the corner, and then landed some stomps and a running punch, similar to the Broski boot, but with his fist. Nakamura was no-selling Murphy's strikes. He then hit an elbow to the face and just a quick barrage of strikes. He hit the running knee into the corner, the reverse exploder suplex, and won with the Kinshasa running knee to get the win. Murphy got some offense, but obviously, like in the rest of these matches, you knew who the winner was going to be. Nakamura is going to get the win. He's not losing anytime soon in NXT. I don't think he's going to lose to Finn Balor in 3 weeks, and I think that'll lead up to Joe Nakamura at TakeOver, and we'll see what direction they go there. But as for the match, it was a decent TV main event. Nothing really too exciting happened there. But Nakamura has the crowd in the palm of his hands. He can do no wrong right now. His music, the crowd's going along with it. His strikes, his taunts, everything. The crowd is just fully behind Nakamura, and that's the best thing. Because I think I said this last week or the week before, that this definitely could have been what Hideo Itami could have been. Granted, he doesn't have the charisma that Nakamura does, but he definitely could have been following the same path, at least, to where he's at leading up to a title shot at TakeOver. But as far as Murphy goes, he just needs to change his music and attire if he wants to be some sort of single star. I think it's very similar to the Blake and Murphy tag team. The music's the same, the attire's the same. It's really nothing differentiating him as a single star. So just to change that up a little bit, I think it'll give him some sort of relevancy in the singles division. But as of right now, it's not working. As for the show, it is an interesting show. The results were obvious. I don't think there was a single match that I saw that would have been that could have gone either way. I mean, I guess the Ty Dillinger match, I wasn't expecting Lorcan to get the win there. But seeing the distraction during the match, it kind of makes sense. But everything else was a typical squash match. Well, I'm going to say squash because the other person got some offense in, but very one-sided. But I think the biggest thing that came out of it was the announcement of Balor Nakamura in 3 weeks. It does leave the chance that Nakamura faces Joe at TakeOver. I would love that match because, as I discussed last week, I didn't know if Joe Nakamura or if Balor Nakamura would face at TakeOver, who would be that next person to face Samoa Joe. So if they're gonna have this, Nakamura wins, he goes to TakeOver. It frees up Balor, maybe Balor Aries or Balor someone else, for Balor's possibly last match in NXT. So it kind of frees up the card a little bit, and which is nice because Nakamura and Joe are gonna kill each other with their strikes. As for the Austin Aries, No Way Jose stuff, I'm just happy that Austin Aries is a full-on heel. I don't care for their storyline, but we'll see where it goes. But I am interested where the Ty Dillinger stuff goes. It'll be interesting to see what kind of character change he goes through, especially with this distraction loss that he got. But as for next week, we have American Alpha getting back in action, and Carmella and Alexa Bliss will face off as well. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports, and rate, review the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, wherever else you guys listen to it. I greatly appreciate that. And I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Peace.